50.1%. That is how much Nissan sales collapsed in a single month here in Australia. One brand. 1 month. Half its buyers gone. According to the Federal Chamber of Automotive Industry's VFACTS report, Nissan sold just 1,775 cars in February 2026, dropping it to 16th place among all brands sold in this country. Let me put that in plain language. A name that used to sit in driveways all over Australia is now barely hanging on in the middle of the pack. I want to tell you about a bloke I heard from through a trade-in forum, the kind of story that plays out across owner forums right across this country. He bought a near-new Qashqai in 2024, fully loaded, paid close to market price because everyone told him Nissan Resale was rock solid. 18 months later, he tried to trade it in. The dealer's offer was so far under what he expected that he walked away and drove home in the same car, angry, feeling like he'd been sold a story instead of a car. That is not an outlier. That is the documented reality of the Japanese car market in Australia right now. Nissan is not falling on its own. Mazda has posted double-digit drops for 5 months running. Mitsubishi's full-year figures for 2025 were already down close to 18% before this year even started. And in a shift nobody saw coming after 28 years, Japan has been overtaken by China as Australia's biggest source of new vehicles, with 9 out of the last 10 new brands to enter this market built in China. Today I am counting down 6 Japanese brands, ranked from bad to absolutely brutal, based on how hard their resale value and their sales numbers are getting hit right now. By the end you will know exactly which of these brands are quietly bleeding value while their owners have no idea, and which ones are actually managing to hold their ground. I am Mark Petrelli, former auction house valuer, no badge loyalty, nobody paying me a cent. Every claim in this video is sourced to wholesale auction data, trade-in trend reports, and VFACTS monthly sales figures released by the Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries. Before we get into it, hit subscribe. I spent years standing in auction yards watching what cars actually sell for, not what a dealer tells you they are worth. I want Aussies to see those real numbers before they sign a trade-in form. Right, let us go from bad to absolutely brutal. Coming in at number 6, Lexus. This is the smallest decline on today's list, but it is still bleeding, and that matters because Lexus is a premium brand where buyers usually stay loyal no matter what. Lexus sales were down 15.6% year-on-year in early 2026 according to VFACTS. That is not depreciation. That is the market quietly telling premium buyers something the dealer never will. In plain Australian terms, if even the prestige badge is slipping, nothing in this segment is safe. Number 5 is where the picture gets worse. Suzuki. Suzuki is down 32.5% in the first 2 months of this year, despite adding new models to the range. The problem is Suzuki has no single hero model strong enough to anchor the whole brand, while everything else wobbles. When a brand loses a third of its buyers with no obvious single cause, that tells you the softness runs right through the whole lineup, not just one unlucky model. Coming in at number 4, Subaru. Subaru got caught mid-changeover on its 2 biggest sellers, the Forester and the Outback, replacing both in roughly the same 12-month window. The Forester alone fell 8.4% in 2026, and Chinese rivals like the BYD Ceylon 7 and the GWM Hovel H6 are now outselling it in its own segment. Picture that. A car buyer walks into a Subaru yard, looking for a Forester, finds old stock or a gap on the lot, and drives out in a Chinese SUV instead. That customer may never come back. Quick favor before we hit the top 3. If this is genuinely useful, give the like button a tap. The top 3 picks are where the real money disappears, and I want the algorithm to push this video to as many Aussies as possible before they sign. Cheers. On we go. Number 3 is Mazda's full run through 2026, and this one is not a blip. Mazda was down 27.4% in May alone, and 16% year-to-date, month after month of double-digit losses. individual models tell the same story, with the Mazda 3 down 34.7% and the CX-3 down 25.3% in the first 2 months of the year, largely because buyers are waiting on new generation CX-5 stock that has not arrived yet. 5 straight months of double-digit drops is not a rough patch. That is a brand losing its grip on buyer confidence in real time. Number 2 ranks worse than Mazda, despite Mazda posting a bigger single-month percentage drop. And here is why. This is Nissan's model-level collapse, and it is not one bad model dragging the average down. It is every single core model failing simultaneously. The Qashqai was down 78%, the X-Trail down 49.4%, and the Navara down 35%, all in the first 2 months of 2026. The math simply does not work for a brand when its 3 best-selling nameplates are all crashing at once. That is not one weak spot. That is the whole product lineup losing buyer trust together. And topping the list at number 1, Nissan, the whole brand. Layer 1, the brand level problem. Nissan sold 3,464 vehicles in the first 2 months of 2026, down from 6,594 in the same period the year before, a 44.7% year-on-year fall. That is not a shrinking brand. In plain Australian terms, that is a brand in freefall. Layer 2, the product problem. And this is where it gets worse than anything we have already covered. By February, the decline had deepened even further to 50.1%, with Nissan slipping to 16th place overall with just 1,775 deliveries for the month. Stick with me to the end, because the resale side of this story is even uglier than the sales side. Layer 3, the trust layer. When a brand's 3 biggest sellers are all collapsing at the same time, roughly comparable by some estimates to what you would expect from a full model recall event, even without a formal one being issued, that points to buyers losing confidence in the badge itself, not just disliking one model. Layer 4, the resale and support layer. Fewer new buyers walking into Nissan showrooms today means fewer near-new Nissans feeding the used market in 2 or 3 years. An auction floor experience tells me thin supply paired with weak buyer confidence is exactly the combination that tanks resale value hardest of all. Layer 5, the compression. Picture a driveway with a 2-year-old Qashqai sitting in it, the paint still showroom fresh, while the owner scrolls through a trade-in offer that is thousands less than they expected, because the badge that sold them the car quietly lost half its market while they weren't looking. If you already own a Nissan, get an independent valuation before you go anywhere near a dealer trade-in desk, because that gap could easily be a 5-figure mistake if you go in blind. You are now the informed buyer who knows something most Australians walking into a showroom today do not. So there they are. Number 6, Lexus, still bleeding even at the top end. Number 5, Suzuki, no hero model to hold the line. Number 4, Subaru, caught out mid-changeover. Number 3, Mazda, 5 months of double-digit pain. Number 2, Nissan's models, all 3 failing together. Number 1, Nissan the brand, the most documented collapse in the country. Now for the flip side, because this title is also about who is holding on. Toyota is still Australia's biggest seller by volume, and even though it had a rough month in May, dropping 30.7% that month alone, its year-round base is broad enough to absorb hits that would sink a smaller brand outright. Honda has been quietly steadier through this same stretch, without the same string of consecutive double-digit collapses we have seen from Mazda and Nissan. Neither is untouchable, but relative to what we just walked through, they are holding their ground rather than losing it. My honest takeaway, and it is the same one I always give: none of these brands are evil, and nobody sat in a boardroom trying to rip anyone off. Markets shift, model changeovers go wrong, and Chinese brands arrived faster than anyone expected. But informed buyers always win, no matter which way the market moves. Under Australian consumer law, you have guarantees around acceptable quality and fitness for purpose, regardless of what badge is on the bonnet. And that protection does not care whether the brand is having a good year or a bad one. So before you sign anything, get an independent valuation on your trade-in and check current resale data for the model you're looking at, not just the brand name on the sign out front. Are you sitting on a Nissan or a Mazda right now wondering what it's actually worth? Did you nearly buy one of these models this year before something made you hesitate? Or have you already been through a trade-in that came in way lower than you expected? Drop your stories in the comments. If this helped, give it a like. Hit subscribe for more straight-shooting Aussie car advice, and I will see you in the next one. Drive safe, and remember, a badge doesn't hold its value. The numbers do.